How's it going, everyone? Today I want to do a video on another reaction video. Got a few decent responses from the one I done. My channel isn't a whole bunch about necessarily reaction videos, but certain ones I'll do, especially if it somehow complies with a lot of the subject matter I put on my channel, which is a variety of things. So if you're just tuning in, I invite you to like, share, and subscribe as always. Just understand that there's different content on my channel. Some of it is reactions, and some of it's about legal matters, and some of it's about truth awareness, and just different subjects. Some of it's about Christianity, and for those who want to tune in who are not Christians, this isn't me pounding you in the head with Christianity, trying to get you to accept any religion or anything. It's when I get on the subjects of Christianity, it's more to do with those who claim to be Christian now and are allowing themselves to be misled in the wrong direction. So I'm just clear that up for anyone newly tuning in. For the most part, currently my videos are a lot to do with corruption and stuff that's going on in my own personal case, my own personal matters, because that's where I've learned a lot of this stuff when it comes to corruption and what's going on in our government and stuff like that. But anyways, today I want to do a reaction video to Ren Eden. Now I got originally I have watched about a minute and a half of this and then stopped. Looks like it's like almost 9 minutes long, but a friend of mine sent this to me, and as I started watching, I was like, oh, this is getting somewhere. Maybe I'm gonna have to do a reaction on this. And he replied back, well, that's why I sent it to you, hoping you'd do a reaction on it. So I'm gonna do I suppose my take on what reaction videos are on this, on Ren Eden, and then before I get into another video I want to do. Anyways, so that's what this is going to be, my reaction to Ren Eden. And as I said, I have already watched about a minute and a half of it, and then as he was going on, I was like, oh, this might be a good enough subject for my channel on YouTube. So let's go ahead and let's get started on it. Let's see what Ren has for us today. Ren's a pretty talented artist, and he's got several videos I like, and I like the message on some of it that he's trying to throw out there. And to me, he shows a talent that we don't see too often anymore these days in the music industry. And him, as well as there's several others out there that I like that have that they don't sell their souls out and to become mainstream or whatever. And Ren seems to be so far one of those, and he's got talent. So let's go ahead and check out Ren's video, Eden, and let's go ahead and get into this.
Let me tell you a story as old as time, the story of Adam and Eve. It starts with a God who wanted more. God had just created the heavens and the earth. He had the angels by his side, but they had no will of their own, and so the autonomy to love or reject him was never theirs. All but for one, the once called bringer of light, Lucifer, morning star. Lucifer was the fairest and most intelligent of all the angels. He was the closest thing to God's image, and in his likeness, Lucifer felt restless. He began to question and doubt God. He doubted the hierarchy opposed upon him. He felt God was arrogant. In his frustration, Lucifer built a throne that stood even above God's and declared mutiny. A war ensued. God, being all-powerful, came out the victor and banished Lucifer from the heavens and exiled him to earth. Once again, God was alone with his power. Perhaps from loneliness, perhaps from curiosity, perhaps from a desire to share love, God began to work on his greatest project yet, a being that would mirror himself, the human, two humans specifically, Adam and Eve. They were placed inside a paradise built for them on earth, the Garden of Eden. In the garden, God placed a tree that bared fruit that would grant anyone who ate it powers bestowed only to a God to tell good from evil, left from right, to live righteously or to sin. He named this the Tree of Knowledge. God told Adam and Eve they could eat whatever they wanted in the garden, but never the fruit from the Tree of Knowledge. And if they disobeyed him, it would be punishable by death. The basic way the story of Eden is told is that Eve was tempted by Lucifer in the form of a serpent to eat a fruit from the Tree of Knowledge. Convinced, she bit the fruit. She passed it to Adam and he did the same. Suddenly, ultimate knowledge filled their minds and they realized they were naked and felt shame. God discovered this betrayal and felt anger. He exiled Adam and Eve and cursed them with the life of a mortal. They would work, they would bear children, and they would die. The fate of a human. Now look deeper.
So I'll stop right there for a minute. I get what he's saying right there, right? As most of us do, and this is how the general overall outlook is on the beginning of life, right, for us. But you got to be careful on what you allow into your mindset. And one is some people's own take on things. And is that take coming from, or you're getting that observation from what the truth is that is written and is documented, or you're taking half of what that is and then filling in the blanks yourself with your own theories or whatever. You know, and I'm not going to try to cut on him for how he sees it to be, but let's stop for a minute and realize that, one, God didn't create us out of loneliness. I don't believe that at all. He was surrounded and is surrounded by all kinds of beings, right? I don't believe that he was that we were invented out of loneliness. And but the general observation is there that the devil came in and tempted Eve, and from there it's turned into the destruction and that's what the truth is, okay? Whether you want to see that or not, Adam and Eve, that's where it come from, you know. And like I'm gonna do some videos later on the observation of Lilith, right? And the truth is, you got these theories out there, but the truth is, in my perception of it, Lilith and Eve are one and the same. But that's a subject for another matter, right? But that just sparked that. But the main thing where he's wrong is, and a lot of people do this, is we say, well, because they were forbidden to eat from the tree of knowledge, right? And the fact of the matter is, they were forbidden to eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Okay, it's not the tree of knowledge, it's the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And I mean, that's not way off from what he's saying, but it's these little things that can slip us up, and we need to realize that we weren't being forbidden from any tree, except one, right? And we weren't forbidden from knowledge, we were forbidden from the knowledge of good and evil. And my personal view on that is that the reason for that is because us humans seem to love evil more than we love the dark, more than we do the light, right? We seem to gravitate more towards the dark than the light. And Satan, his throne was never built above God's. Satan cannot build his own throne above God, but he wants us to believe that, and he wants us to believe that he's been wronged and we should feel sorry for him, and that it's possible for him to be above God, and that's not true. He's here to destroy all of us because he didn't like what went down, and he didn't like the creation of man. Satan was jealous of us, and And because of that, he tempted us to destroy ourselves, right? And that happens every day in our lives, and we can get into that later. But so my main point is, you know, it's not that he's totally off on what he's painting out here in the beginning, the first, 2.5 minutes now of this video. It's not that he's totally wrong, but you got to watch them little things. We all do anyways in our lives. When we want the truth, we got to watch them little things that will, a little roadblock will turn you in a direction of getting off truth, right? And when it comes to the truth and what's reality and all that, it only takes a little stumbling block to turn us in the wrong direction, and that little thing, that little seed, grows into a huge amount of wrongful knowledge, right? So it's the tree of knowledge of good and evil, not the tree of knowledge. Let's go on.
In the story, the serpent tempted me by telling me I would gain ultimate knowledge and that God would spare me.
Both were true.
This wasn't some great deception, meaning that Satan, in the likeliness of God, perhaps understood his intentions. In fact,
The only lie uttered in the
Garden of Eden was
by God, who did not end up
condemning
Adam and Eve to
death.
This could be seen as an act of
Mercy, but the sheer fact that
So I stop there now. You know, there's some misleading stuff here, and you know, I'm not, you know, Ren and anyone else is free to subscribe to whatever beliefs they want, but this just goes against what common sense knowledge brings out from actually knowing the story, okay? And there's people that can come out with things and say, well, you know, this and that's contradicting, or this ain't in there, this is missing from the story. And actually it's not. You know, there's also a book of Enoch, which is not in the Bible, but Jesus himself is referred to Enoch. And the thing is, this book of Enoch fills in a lot of the blanks that a lot of people think are missing from the scriptures. Now the thing is, the Bible, you know, I do believe there are perverted versions of the Bible out there, especially these days. But I also believe, now we gotta be careful, because a lot of people say, oh, well, the Bible is the Word of God. And, you know, like they'll hold this up and say, this is the Word of God. And this is the preservation of the Word of God. This is the writings based on the Word of God, because the truth is, before the Bible ever existed, there was just the scriptures, right? And that's what the Bible become based on. The Word of God is Jesus, okay? In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, right? That's not the Bible, right? So, I mean, there's different things, and I'm not, you know, trying to open up that subject at the moment, but the problem is that he says the only one lying was God, and that's not the truth. And that's, see, now I'm not trying to say what Ren's intentions are here, you know, but the devil can plant that seed through any means necessary. He will plant that seed through any means necessary. And the thing is that God did not lie. They're saying, like, well, God's the only one that lied, and it's kind of a thing, feel sorry for Satan. Maybe Satan was just trying to do you right, okay? Because the fact is, what we gained from Adam and Eve choosing to disobey God and biting into that fruit, you know, from that tree, was we gained the knowledge of good and evil. And the knowledge of evil has overtaken us all these generations, okay? And then it was wiped out once and restarted, and we keep choosing the evil. But God did not lie. We were condemned to death because of that, okay? It's my belief that when we were first founded in the Garden of Eden, Adam and Eve, they would have, at that time, had they not eaten from that tree, they would have lived forever in a much different world. Things would be way much different, right, than it is now. God did not lie. You ate from that tree, and that started the process of death. And that's where death and destruction came from the eating from that fruit, from that tree of knowledge of good and evil. That's where it all began. God did not lie, and that's the way it makes it look, because, oh, he ate from the tree, And instead, out of mercy, God banished him out of the Garden of Eden. No, you were banished out. Adam and Eve was banished out of the Garden of Eden because they were no longer allowed to take part in the tree of life, which means you don't die, right? And all these other, everything that was there, okay? You no longer, because you will now be bringing this evils into you're not allowed in the garden. The evil is not allowed in the garden. So it was blocked off. You were banished out of it. And from that started your days of dying, okay? The day he ate from that, Adam eventually died, as we know, right? Eve eventually died. The day they took a bite from that tree is when the death started. That's, let's go on here.
That the tree existed and that humans
Were initially cut off from this knowledge.
may imply some part of God was afraid that if humans were granted the gift of perception, they, like Lucifer, would have the power to reject him too. The fact that there stood a beautiful tree that could
grant this knowledge in the first place
implies that a small part of
God, supposedly all-knowing,
perhaps wanted and intended
the humans to
bite too.
In the Bible, Satan was an exiled angel of free will. Humans are exiled
descendants of Adam and Eve.
also with free will. Not only have we shared a similar fate to the devil, we were also both constructed in
We
the
were
image of
also
our
both
Creator,
constructed in the image of our Creator.
meaning our behaviors, in some shape or form, imperfectly echo His.
We could assume that this kind of
God has his doubts,
But-
but as the most
powerful
Being in the universe,
he has no one above him
to turn to with questions, and no one to
Doubt but himself, an incredibly lonely and isolating existence.
We must only assume that the common thread between God, Lucifer, and us is the desire for more, an eternal curiosity, a desire perhaps birthed from a seed of loneliness. If not, why would we exist in the first place? The constantly looping bittersweet irony is whether gifted by some omnipotent God or simply a byproduct of billions of years of evolution, here we stand in 2023 as creatures with free will, the only creatures that understand and define good from bad, creatures with the potential of a God. And what do we do with that free will, my friends? We willingly walk to the edge of a cliff. In the name of progress, we jump off the precipice. The empires we build ravage the earth. The natural order of things are necessary to survive. Any systems which do not honor homeostasis eventually perish. Our free will overrides our own biological instinct. We can take more than we eat. We can kill more than we need. We can willingly create weapons with the potential to burn everything we've built to the ground. We willingly decide to bow at the altar of greed, the most insidious and destructive of all sins. We put our faith in corporations who pose as rulers. We willingly allow ourselves to be led by outdated power systems ran by corrupted politicians and bloated dictators who claim domain and dominion over an open and free land. We willingly elect the corrupted when the decision was always ours to build something better. We willingly create and impose separation because of beliefs that we are force-fed through our phones and television sets. We always had the will to reject these things, but we adhere to them as though they were the laws of physics. War, famine, pestilence, greed, these aren't things imposed upon us by an all-powerful God or by his demonic adversary. They are here because of us, not because of free will, but because of our inability to use it. We must be motivated to be better, not out of
Now I'll stop right there. I see the direction he's going, and I can't take a whole lot from that. A lot of what he's saying in there is true, but we got to be careful about how we allow this to dictate our perception of God, right? Because now the thing is, a lot of these things were given to us from the adversary, the devil, and that's the truth. If you read back and do enough research, you will see that in the beginnings, sometime after we were thrown out of the Garden of Eden, that this fallen angels were here on earth, and they, which, you know, in a lot of folk tales and stuff like that, became known as gods, like, you know, like Thor, Zeus, you know, all these different gods and goddesses that are known through these other pagan beliefs, I suppose is what you'd call it, right? But what these so-called gods and goddesses were were the fallen angels in the Nephilim, which came about from the fallen angels. And we had giants back then, and there's a lot of this stuff people don't even realize to be true. And the thing is, those fallen angels are what instilled in us a lot of knowledge. We had a lot of technology before the flood than people even want to realize. We want to say, oh, how did this happen and how did that happen? There's technology available then that we may not even be aware of yet for our own selves. And that's because at that time they had the fallen angels come in here sharing the knowledge. And like I can't quote it right off, but there was the one that was a metal work, you know, that was all knowledge of metals and showed us how to work with steel and create weapons and kill each other. And you know, it's these different fallen angels that shared their knowledge with the people, and they became known as gods for this knowledge they shared. And they weren't really gods, they were fallen angels who were thrown out of heaven, and because of their evil ways. And you know, they gathered together to ruin mankind and rebel against God. And that's the, you know, so that's the truth. So yes, this knowledge was instilled by the adversary. We weren't created. The life we're living now, I get what he's saying, what's going on in our world today and how are things today in the life we're living now, and that we chose to get here, and that's partly true. I'm not taking away from that, but the fact of the matter is that God's adversary did in fact instill this in us. Greed is like he says, such a high sin. For the love of money is the root of all evil. And that's one video I'm getting ready to work on that surrounds that subject. Okay, now the thing is that is true, because the evil powers that be of the fallen angels that came to destroy us and put us on a path to destroy ourselves, they sold us to this as our free will, and we needed this. So with that, we took their knowledge, and with that, we took the knowledge of greed, that, you know, it was instilled on people that I need more and I want more and I can control people and be in control of them. And this is what greed had become, and where it resonates from. And you know, so we got to realize the dangers. What I'm seeing here is a lot of stuff he's saying is right, and the point he's getting, what I see so far that he's getting to, is kind of right. But at the same time, we can't fill ourselves with the belief that, yeah, you know, yes, it is our fault. Yes, we did choose this, but it's because we chose not to listen to God. Right? We chose not to listen to God. We chose instead to listen to the devil on the shoulder that is whispering in our ear, telling us these things. Because the truth is, we all have this inherent knowledge of good and evil, right? That right and wrong. And you can, you know, how to explain it to you for your own self, but, you know, if you're in the middle of doing something wrong, or you're contemplating doing something wrong, your conscience is talking to you saying, no, that's wrong. And something else is telling you, no, that's okay, do it, you'll feel good. You know, that is good and evil, and that's God and the devil, right? And for a lack of better terms. And you know, so it's a little bit misleading here, but let's go on. I'm kind of liking some of his point of view here.
Fear of punishment, of an eternal damnation, but because the choice exists, because we love ourselves, because we have the power to absolve ourselves of so much unnecessary suffering. Take a second.
Okay, so I mean, I'll stop right there for a minute. What's he saying there? Well, we're doing this all. You know, we need to become better people, and I 100% agree, right? We need to become better people, but how do we become better people? Now, this is where I'm trying not to lose people, but the truth is, you're not going to become a better person just because you think you need to be a better person. Because otherwise the devil's there waiting for you, and he's going to make you slip up. And he says we need to become better people, not because of the threat of eternal damnation, or however he said that, that you're going to burn in a fiery hell or whatever, right? That's kind of true, but at the same time, we need, God expects us to want to be good people, period, that we choose to be good, not just because he's threatened us with eternal damnation, right? But the thing is, we need to understand, we need to not take away from that. We need to understand that the fact of the matter is, if we don't want to contribute on our part to be part of a better world and to act better, there is eternal damnation on its way. And why is that? Because there are people that choose to be good people. And those people that choose to be good people are the ones suffering because of the majority of people that choose to be bad, right? And but overall what he's saying, it's our choice. That's our free will we was given, and it is true. But we were given that by God, and God expects us to use that free will to choose good over evil. And there is a reward for us if we do that, right? Let's go on.
And to be in this very moment. In this moment, how much suffering is happening all over the planet right now? How many people are dying of illnesses that could have easily been cured, but aren't because of the selfishness and greediness of humanity? How many people break their backs and reject their own passions to simply afford bills and food? How many of us crave distraction from existence? How many of us numb that pain in whatever way necessary? How many children are being abused? How many people sleep cold and hungry on the streets? How many of us become cogs inside a machine that is destroying itself? How many soldiers have been forced to fight in meaningless wars? How many humans have killed for ideals they don't believe in or understand? How many people have died for the greed of another man? And how much of this was avoidable? As written in the Bible, Satan was not condemned to hell. Satan was condemned to earth. He lives there amongst other creatures with free will, who always had the choice and still chose their own undoing. Ladies and gentlemen, this is our self-made hell. The bittersweet irony is this is a creation of our own design. I'll leave you with this. Consider what you have done here today. You have worked together as individuals, collaborating to form a giant neural network, a hive mind capable of achieving incredible things. We have lent on each other's strengths to solve puzzles and decipher riddles, and we've done so to win money. Imagine applying that same spirit and determination to creating the closest thing we have to paradise here on Earth. By using the power of collaboration, we can work together to even the playing field for everybody. Our dystopias can become utopias. Our Jahannams can become Jannah. Our hells can become heaven, right here on Earth. And this sentiment applies to atheists, agnostics, and believers alike. Myself, I'm an agnostic who believes. I believe in us. We must do better because we can choose to. We must be better simply because the option exists. Thank you.
Okay, so there's that. Let me know your thoughts on that. But, I'm not totally disagreeing with what he says there. We must choose to do better. That is true. And simply because we can. I want to just point out that we can't blind ourselves to the truth, because the truth is, it is God and the devil, right? And the devil is here on earth, and he knows our plans, and he is here to sabotage us, because as he pointed out, he shows these things that we can do. We can come together and do great things, and we do this many times. But the fact of the matter is, you got somebody up here at the top pulling the strings, right? That's how it is, pulling the strings. We're all the puppets, and that's what we can't overlook here. And I'm not saying he's wrong, because if we chose to all be better people, those of us nobodies that outnumber the somebodies, right? If we chose upon ourselves that we're going to be better people, and the rebellion we're going to have is against the evils, we could make a change. But we got to stand together and come together, and that is Satan's worst nightmare, and he will do everything to prevent that from happening. He has created this matrix that we are currently in, and he controls us now. He controls the world and what happens to it. And even the Bible says the God of this world is Satan, right? And are you choosing, if you love the world, then you are choosing against God, because you love the world and everything in it, and everything in it is proving to be bad, proving to be wrong. I'm not totally taking away from what Ren's saying here. It's a powerful message, but let's take a look at that powerful message. That powerful message has been given to us time and time again from other previous generations, right? I'll just take, for one example, John Lennon. You know, all you need is love and all this, right? But Lennon was a atheist, I guess to say, right? And you know, he had all these great things that, you know, these people of fame, people follow them and mimic them and stuff like that. So you take as an example John Lennon, which, you know, this is hard for me to talk about some of this because I was always a major Beatles fan. They contributed so much to what we know as music. But the thing, and I was a big fan of John Lennon because of the message he tried to send, but there's something missing from that message, and we can't take away from that, because until we understand the missing part of that message, we will never get it right. This is my point. You take anyone influential from like the 60s and 70s, right? The hippie movement. All these people knew that stuff wasn't right and needed change. But what happened? They allowed evils into their visions. And and we look at the world around us today, and a lot of these politicians that are helping us go off direction into this ungodly world where, you know, there's no such thing as men and women anymore, stuff like that, you know. And where did that all start? Well, it started from the hippie movement. It started to imagine all of us could live together and love one another, but there is no God, right? And that's very dangerous, because that's what we did. We imagined this, and we imagined it so much that we're now in the world that we're in now, that we believe that somebody else has a greater good for us, so we should all take a shot in the arm, right? Or somebody else has a greater good for us, so we should send our children over to die in war. Somebody else, you know, has, we could all come together for peace to save the planet, right? And in the name of, that's where all of these ideas started from, back into the hippie movement, right? This whole save the earth, from global warming and all this and that. It's because these people had got their minds messed up, and they didn't have a sure track to stay on, which is God's track, right? And whether people want to see that or not, there's two paths through this world, good or evil. That's the only way it is, okay? But the only way for you to understand what good truly is to understand that God is there and God is real. And otherwise, I mean, he's got a pretty powerful, but you know, that's what I'm saying. How far does this powerful message go? We cannot take away from the fact that while a lot of this seems to be true, but that's also Satan jumping in there, you know, attacking us on what we could really be. And I'm not telling you to be religious. Like myself, I don't see myself as religious. I could be considered a Christian because of my beliefs, but to me, it's not about religion or anything else. You can call it religion. Everything's a religion. That's what it comes down to. Everything is a religion, and that's true. You know, your government's a religion. You know, all this different stuff. For me, it's good and evil. It's God, my creator, or the person, you know, or the being that wants to destroy me, right? And this is, so I'm gonna finish up with this, and I'm going to have to go into a new video on this. This has inspired me now for some ideas surrounding that, because there's a lot of rabbit holes we can jump down into, through this world, right? A whole lot of rabbit holes, and there's a lot of people out there thinking they're following Q or whoever else, dropping knowledge on them, right? And the fact of the matter is, someone like me who has ran my website for well over 20 years writing about this kind of stuff, a lot of stuff we're seeing now, people like I've wrote stuff that predicted some of this things happening, and others like me have, and a lot of them got pushed off the side under censorship, stuff like that. But the fact of the matter is, there are rabbit holes that certain, what is it, Q and whoever else is out there dropping this knowledge on you, and you're acting like this is first time knowledge. Like I seen somebody on Twitter posted, oh, so-and-so saying that the Mossad was behind 9/11, and I gotta watch saying that, right? But can you believe that? What do you think about that? And I'm like, well, that's not new knowledge at all. I know my website was reporting on that within a few months after it happened, way back then, right? And so we got to understand all these rabbit holes. And the fact of the matter is, one thing I want to get into is all these rabbit holes lead to one same place and one same evildoer, right? That's where they all lead to, whether we like it or not. You will navigate through those rabbit holes. When you jump down in them, you'll navigate through them a lot more when you understand what's really going on in the battles of principalities, right? The battles, spiritual warfare that's going on around us that we choose not to see. And otherwise, I mean, it's a good video from Ren. I have my disagreements with it, just because there's a little bit of, Satan dropping some knowledge through there. And I'm not saying Ren's Satanist or anything like that at all. I'm just saying that the devil will use us in any way he can. And we don't want to take away from the fact that, yeah, we are choosing evil over good. We're choosing to be bad. But at the same time, we can't just say, well, it's been our choice the whole time, and we can't pretend that the devil isn't there causing all this to happen and pulling the strings and guiding things. Because the thing is, when we all come together as a group and we want something, right, then all of a sudden these evildoers, greedy bastards up at the top, take control of that, and they control the direction of that movement. Like the whole global warming thing, where did that all start out at? The whole climate change thing. Well, it started out with people with concern about how we're taking care of the earth. Well, of course, then the rich, super rich, take control of that and use that to control us into a certain direction to get what they want, right? Just like the internet, social media, all this stuff, they take control of it at the top, and then they pull our strings, and that's what's going on. And I mean, we do need to realize that it's up to each one of us to step up to be a better good, right? But we also need to understand the truth behind it. And the more you understand the truth behind it, the more you can understand where them strings are pulling on you, and you can cut them strings off, right? So other than that, let me know your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and thanks for viewing. I'll see you in the next video.